Hey y'all, I'm Naima. I'm here with my friend Sunset Trei.
Hello guys. Yeah, my name is Sunset Trei. I share a channel with This My Jam called The Flow Network. I'm a creative and I make stuff and I be doing like artistic stuff. I like watching the sunset.
It's light, like shining everywhere, bro.
And I feel really beautiful about myself in this moment right now. And this transmission we're about to dive into. I'm grateful that you guys are here watching.
Thank you for being here today.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
So today we're going to be talking about depression. I've dealt with a lot of depression in my life. Recently I feel like I have overcome a big hump of that. And I just want to talk about some of the things that have helped me get over that hump, and I feel like those things are not talked about a lot. One of the videos that you made, you were talking about, how you come off really positive and but you also deal with sadness at the same time. I didn't really grow up religious, but I have been exploring different religions and just things, seeing what I'm interested in. When you're talking about mental health and spirituality, there's a lot of toxic positivity, there's a lot of spiritual bypassing. So I just appreciated that you were kind of voicing that other side, and it doesn't have to be just positive all the time. And if you're dealing with depression or sadness, that's valid, and but there's also ways you can deal with it, and it's not your fault. It's not something you have to just pray away or just forget about. You can talk about that, you can investigate what the source of that is. And yeah.
My experience with depression, it was briefly after my initial awakening. After I realized wow, the world is a lie. We've been lied to. A lot of things are fallacies. Most of the world is fallacy. Most of the world is an illusion. It was a lot of things that I was realizing and growing in awareness to, but it was so freeing. It was so freeing to realize those things. It actually wasn't a depression or a depressive response to those realizations and to the awareness of everything being a lie. More than anything, what immediately came to me was this freedom. Wow, now I can really do whatever I want to without the fear of thinking, oh, I'm going to possibly go to hell, or this is sin, or, I can just explore and experience as much as I want to, and also have my own connection with God, with spirit. Yeah. But what followed that eventually was the depression, because I did not know who I was, and that whole awakening process that a lot of us are going through or already have gone through, that initial point is a very destructive process, because you are letting go of all the conditionings that have been placed onto you and everything that you were taught in school. Who you thought you were, that identity that you thought you were, has been shed completely. So you go through what they call the dark night of the soul, that transition between shedding who you used to be and leading into who now you're creating yourself to be. There's a point in time where you don't know where you're going. There's an uncertainty. There's a grievance of shedding your own old self or past self and everything that surrounds it, whether it's the environments associated with it, the people that's associated with it, the jobs that are associated with it, you being in college at the time, whatever, it's so many things that dissolve as you create the new version of yourself. And I became extremely depressed. Honestly, I was just smoking a lot of weed. Weed helped me grow in my awareness, but then it had reached its expiration. So it was no longer a tool for me, but I didn't have anyone who was aware enough to tell me that hey, yeah, this is going to help you at the beginning, but if you continue to use it and abuse it, eventually you're just going to be creating holes in your aura and creating portals in your aura. Your aura is going to be leaking. You're not really going to be, this isn't going to serve you anymore. And it wasn't, but I was just doing it out of habit and out of addiction. And I got really depressed. I was just thinking. I was just in my thoughts a lot, in the mind, just trying to sort through life and move through it from the mental. And I remember telling you about that because I mentioned the mind being one of the biggest sources, if not, I mean, it's the biggest source of our suffering. 100%. Trying to figure out life through the mind, trying to navigate through duality. Our brain is literally split in two hemispheres, and just trying to like navigate through that polarity is going to leave you caught in this stagnancy. And that's what I was in. I was in it for a long time. I would try meditation, but it just felt so thick in my brain, so heavy in my brain. I couldn't get out of it, and I honestly did not know what to do.
Yeah, I feel like when people are dealing with depression, they usually will become addicted to something to like deal with that. And you said yours was weed, and I feel like mine was like sex and masturbation.
Okay.
Also probably social media and like stuff
social
like
media.
that.
Yeah.
I feel like when I was younger, like before I had sex, like I discovered masturbation really young. You said that your depression came after you kind of had an awakening. Like I think mine was kind of like always present a little bit because I was just very disconnected from like myself and like my interests and things like that. Like I had a lot of interest when I was younger. Like, I was interested in like writing and filmmaking, but like as I got older, I was just like, this is not a practical thing to do. And I think I dealt with that like through masturbation, like just kind of like wanting to experience some kind of pleasure, it was just free and like available for me to do whenever I wanted. But but it was also like there was a point where it was like twice a day, like every day. Like
with porn as well as the facilitator to help you get there. Okay.
Most of the time, just to know when you're abusing something. I've heard it's just like when it gets to a point where you like it's interrupting your life, like and like your relationships, like negatively. Well, I would feel a lot of shame afterwards after I masturbated and was just like hiding it and stuff. I think it's normal to masturbate, but just like it gets to a point where it's like, maybe it's making you late for something. Like So I feel like it just got to a point where I just felt kind of out of control, and like I was just like relying on that like boost of pleasure, like just to like get me through the day. And then when I started having sex, I wasn't thinking about kind of like the quality of people that I was having sex with. It was kind of just like who is available and like who am I attracted to. That's kind of all that was like the criteria. But like a lot of the times it would be people that were not kind or didn't care about my pleasure. I would make decisions to like go to someone's house and have sex when I like should have been studying for a test, or like they were just not activities that were like helping me in my life. It was just things I was using to like fill a void. How did you realize you were using it like and it wasn't beneficial?
It helped me initially awaken. It helped me remember. It was the tool that was cultivating my awareness. I would just be outside talking to my friends London, John, and James, and we would just be having these philosophical conversations and these realizations from being high and just like being outside, being in tune with earth. But the way I realized it was because I realized I wasn't producing any results due to this awareness and due to this awakening. Like I was just getting high and thinking and just perceiving, but it's like where's the action? What are you bringing to reality out of this? You know what I mean? And eventually it started to drain me. It became I knew it because it was just like I would sit, like for example, we would be in the car riding somewhere and there would be like, people play music on the way while they're driving. I wouldn't hear a single song. All I would hear was just my thoughts. Like, I'd just be in the car just thinking. And I don't know what I was thinking about. Like, there was some shame. There was some guilt. It was just like me trying to I was also thinking about the fact that I kept smoking and like it doesn't feel good anymore. Why am I doing it? It's not the same from the first few times I tried it.
You weren't present?
I wasn't present. I was not present. And it had reached its expiration. Like, some people can smoke weed and it works for them. You know, that's their thing. They can operate, be present while smoking weed. We all have different codes. You know, we all have different tools that we need at different points in our journey. It had reached its expiration for me. I wasn't using it properly. I wasn't intentional with it. I was not present at all. So something had to be done. And then I realized it was bad once I told myself, okay, I'm not going to do this anymore. And then the next day you wake up like, where the gas? Like, it's time to smoke. Like, I was like, where's the plug? Like, and I'm just like, wait. And then I get high. And then, like you said, how you felt after you masturbated. Yeah. You didn't feel good about it. Yeah. Same thing. Like, I felt good before. I was either like, oh yeah, I'm about to get high, and then I smoke, and then that first exhale, I'm like, I'm high again. This don't feel good. And I remember this. I remember having this realization that like the things that feel good, that don't feel good before you do them, but they feel good after, are the things you should do in comparison to the things that feel good before you do them, and then once you do them, they don't feel as good. You know, because when I'm about to do yoga, like, sometimes I'm like, oh, I can't wait to do yoga. I'm about to do it. But I feel the best after I do yoga. You know, I'm not always that excited to do yoga, but I know I need to do it for my body. And then when I do it, I'm like, oh, this is amazing. But I've been there too with like masturbation or getting high or doing something I'm not supposed to be doing. You know, the thought of it, the preparation before it, it's like, ooh, this dopamine release, and then you're doing it and you're like, this is why I tell myself I don't need to do this anymore.
Yeah, same with sex. Like, you know, when I'm about to have sex, I'm feeling excited. When I'm having sex, for the most part, you know, it feels good. But after, I would feel like empty or like used or like worse than I was feeling before.
Right.
Yeah, but and then like you said, like I think people are like, oh, I could stop at any time, you know, but like for me, I felt like I was not in control. When I was masturbating, it was like really hard for me to break that cycle. Yeah. And then when I was having sex, like I was in school, so like during the week, it was I wasn't having the urge, but like on the weekend, like it was like every weekend I needed to be having sex. I felt like I was actually going through like withdrawal. Like if I wasn't having sex like every weekend, I would feel like a very intense emptiness.
Even if it wasn't good sex?
Yeah.
Just some.
I wanted just like some connection or just like I think I was feeling lonely and just like disconnected. A big thing for me helping with my depression was like getting back in touch with like my creativity and like things that were interesting like to me that I was suppressing for a long time. But were you like always involved in creative things, or did that come at a certain point?
That's a really good question, because honestly I feel like that was one of the things that helped pull me out of it, you know, investing my energy into other things, into things that I wanted to bring to life. Like I said, I wasn't bringing anything to life. I wasn't willing anything into reality. I'm just getting high and sitting in the car. And when we started making music, I mentioned my friends London, James, and Jerron. That did create a shift for sure. It gave us a purpose. It gave us a reason to. It gave us somewhere to channel this spiritual energy or this awakening, like these experiences we were having. It gave us somewhere to channel that energy, a medium to express that energy through. It gave us a purpose, you know, to do something with it. So that definitely did help for sure. And I realized like, okay, I actually like write better and channel better when I'm not high. So it was a little bit easier for me to kind of put it aside. And I was like, I record better when I'm not high. So I was just like, okay, so let me actually like kind of drop this a little bit, let this go, or use it a lot less frequently, use it more intentionally. What about for you?
What was the question?
You're about to ask. I was wondering like, so it worked the same for you creatively? Instead of using all that sexual energy that you had into people who don't deserve it.
Yeah. I just always had this like inkling like that I was supposed to be doing more creative things. Like I don't know, there was just nothing that I was doing that was making me feel like alive and like I was just going through the motions.
Just autopilot.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, just kind of doing what I thought I was supposed to do. Like never really like getting connected to things that were like really resonating with me. Just out of fear that like if I was to like really invest in like my creative interests, like I would, I guess, get made fun of, or it would just not make money. I think it just contributed to like everything in my life, because like I also like I kind of struggled with like relationships and like friendships too. Like growing up, like I had friends, but I didn't feel like really connected to them.
Mm-hmm.
And in hindsight, I feel like that was because I wasn't connected to myself. Like I felt like the people that I really resonated with wouldn't even know that, because I wasn't like being myself. I really like creative people, but it's like if I'm not being creative or like doing those things, then like I'm not gonna find other creative people.
Especially if you don't trust in it, because you have those doubts in your mind about it not being able to make money, or you being made fun of for trying and expressing. You're not going to be able to resonate with those people who are really passionate about what they do. Yeah.
There was a point, like, in college where I just had, like, a breakdown, because I was just like, I just can't keep doing, like, what I'm doing anymore. And, like, after that, I was like, okay, I'm going to just, like, abandon what I, like, majored in and all that stuff, and just try to, like, give it a real shot, and just try to, like, do the things that I feel like I've been, like, called to do, like, since I was young. And I feel like that made a huge difference. I was like in remission or something, because like I had been like diagnosed with like major depressive disorder. Like I was on like medication and stuff, but like once I started like making like really big changes, investing more in my creativity and just in myself, like I just felt like a new person.
When you channel into creativity, you're activating your God power. Like you're activating your creator power. Mm-hmm. To be able to create means you are a creator. Yeah. So that's a powerful energy to be in. So whatever it is, art, music, film,
I think it's
whatever.
Probably not creativity alone. Like you're going to talk about more things.
Of course,
but,
exactly.
Like, I think because there's a lot of like celebrities, music artists that deal with depression, and
for sure.
And I think it's because they're not thinking about it holistically. Like
exactly.
They're only, or the creative expression is not authentic. Like, because like you talk about the music industry and like how sometimes they will like make you make things you don't want to make. So
exactly, yeah. It's more like they're doing it more so for an end result, rather than just the love of it. Mm-hmm. So again, make sure you're pouring into it because you love it.
So before you had your awakening, were you like making music before then or no?
Yeah, I started rapping when I was like 4 years old. Okay. Yeah, I've been rapping. My mom was rapping when I was in her stomach. Mm-hmm. She was on stage performing and shit. So. Okay,
so did you get away from it at any point? Because you said like you were like getting high and not really like.
Yeah, most definitely. Not tuned in creatively. But yeah, I had stopped rapping, just, moving. When I moved here, when I moved out of the hood moved here to Georgia, and I think I just kind of like lost it from that point a little bit, lost that like that culture in me, that you get from just being in the hood, because almost every nigga raps in the hood. But I could really rap, and my aunt would always like, my aunt would always put me in front of her friends, like listen to him rap. He just wrote this rap, like, and they would just be everybody would just be so amazed because I was so young and I was just like freestyling and rapping and stuff. But yeah, of course, like school kind of. If school's not creating a space for artistic expression, of course I'm going to lose that. I'm focusing on academics. I'm focusing on passing 4th grade, 5th grade, 6th grade. Like, if no one's creating a space for me to really dive into it, I don't have like a mentor. It just kind of got lost along the way. But I would still write every now and then. I had cousins who would write music or rap or whatever, and I would kind of rap with them. But, going to school, continuing to do what I got to do. It really sparked again once James, who was like, he's such a pioneer in so many ways, especially in my life. Like there was a point in time when he was in college, and him and our friend Camille was just like, yo, we want to be artists. Like we finna rap. That's what we want to pursue. And I was like, what? Like I wanted to be an actor at the time, so I guess that was like my own other way of like creative expression. Like that was the career I wanted, to be an actor. So I was like, I mean, that's up my alley. I've been rapping since I was 4. I rap better than y'all. I can do this. Like, you know, like I'm about that. Like, so, and then I started, you know, creating at that point again. Yeah.
I feel like another big source of depression is like not having authentic community. Like just because you have people around you, like if you don't resonate with them, I think that can cause depression too. And like that was definitely a big thing for me. Did you always feel like you had that, or did that develop over time? Or
hell yeah, most definitely. I had a brotherhood. James, London, and Jerron were a brotherhood for me. We grew in awakening together. We grew in awareness together. Our initial group name was Evolve Culture. It was like a statement and a name at the same time. We wanted to evolve culture. Before people even started using the word culture and like it being cool, like we were already hip to this. This was like 2013 or something. We're like, we are culture. Like, let's evolve culture. We want to like rap about meditation and spirituality in our bars and shit like that. We want to do cool shit like that because we don't hear that enough. So that was what we decided on. So I did have an authentic connection with them, and we knew each other since we were like 10, 11 years old. So growing in awareness, literally going from like being conditioned to awareness together, like all at the same time, growing in this realization of who we are and what the world is and how we've been lied to and how we can create a new reality for ourselves. Like having 3 other reflections, having a brotherhood to do that with, it's like so empowering. Like I was extremely fortunate. We were all extremely fortunate to have each other because a lot of people are just kind of doing it on their own. And I had them and have a relationship with all of them to this day. London is my roommate. Me and James share the channel, and we still have things planned for the channel that we want to contribute to. And yeah, I just feel like that helps so much, and that definitely, me having them helped a lot. What about you? You feel like, do you feel like you have that now as a reflection after going through everything you went through and not having those friends that were in alignment or not really being in alignment with yourself? You feel like you have that a little bit more now?
Yeah, I do. At first, no, like I was definitely dealing with a lot of like my like realizations and like I feel like alone. I feel like I had like a spiritual awakening or whatever, like 2020, and I think I just had friends that I wasn't really like just weren't all the way in alignment with, and so it was just a process of like distancing myself, and then I feel like I had to just like be alone for a while. Like,
yeah, of course.
And like that was hard, but I feel like now definitely I think I'm definitely finding a lot more people that I resonate with now.
The troll in me, bro, I am such a troll. I just have to say that.
The
troll in me just wants to say, you know,
you can talk about crack.
A good crack pipe hit, you know.
It's okay.
Like, yeah.
Whatever you
need, just get it out. I love that. No, not the crack pipe, but it had to come out. The troll in me had to come out. I need that balance because I'm like...
Is it too serious and like stuffy? Got it.
You know, it's like that balance of ratchetness and righteousness. Like, I take this 100% serious, but, you know, you got to be a little playful sometimes, you know, just to like...
I get it.
Whatever can get you out of the mind and into the body is something very beneficial. Depression is only sourced from... It is sourced from the limitations of the mind. Even if there's like stagnant energy within your body that may be also kind of rooted in your depression, the mind will keep you from being able to release it, is what I'm saying. Like, the mind is the source of depression. Find something where you can get into the body, where you're dancing, doing Tai Chi, you're doing yoga, you're working out, exercising, going for a run. Like, it's hard to be depressed when when your body is in motion. It really is. Like, usually people are depressed and they're like stagnant. The energy is stagnant. You know, they're scrolling on their phone. A lot of times, like I think I said that. Like, I was like, a lot of times when people are depressed, like if you even envision what a depressed person looks like, they're not just sitting present in the depression. You know, they're doing something to distract themselves while they're depressed. They're scrolling on social media. They're masturbating to pornography. They're like just distracting themselves, and then when they get alone, they realize, damn, I'm sad as fuck. I'm depressed as fuck. I'm not happy. But then the distractions just continue. And they're like, oh, well, let me turn on Netflix. And they just try to, but you have to sit in it. You have to be present with it. You have to be aware, actually do nothing. Even if you're not going to be in movement, doing something actively with your body, just be present with the depression. Just sit with it. Yeah. Of course, one will call that meditation. Mm-hmm. You can call it that. But sometimes I refrain from the word meditation because it sounds like another thing to do, as if it's an action. Like, oh, I need to meditate to do something. But no, just sit with it. Just be present with it. Do nothing, absolutely nothing. Don't watch anything. If you're feeling depressed, you're feeling sad, like you reach that point where you are fucking fed up, because everyone's going to reach that point where they are fed up with the feeling of depression. Yeah. They're done being sad. They're done being tired. They're done feeling like they have no purpose in their life. Sit with it. Do nothing. Be. You are a human being. You're not a human doing. Just sit with it. I promise, if you sit with it and give it enough time, something will start to rise within you. Something will start to surface within your being. Literally, it will just come out of you. It will rise to the surface, to your awareness. You'll be able to make you will be able to have more purpose in your life with how you move. You'll be able to breathe it out, release those stagnant emotions through the awareness. Literally, awareness is everything. Awareness is the way to not spiritually bypass things. Spiritually bypassing is a way to just good vibes, everything away. Good vibes, positive vibes. No, be honest with yourself. You're depressed. Yeah. You're not happy. Yeah. You are thinking about suicide. You are thinking about taking yourself out of this life. Be honest with yourself. Yeah. Write it down to yourself. Express your thoughts on paper to yourself. If you want to talk to a friend or to a therapist or someone who can actually listen to you and hold space for you, do that. If you don't, hold space for yourself. Write it in your journal. Express it creatively. Sit with it. And I promise that energy will start to release just through the awareness alone. It can't hide anymore. It has nowhere within your being as a home for it to reside in and tuck itself away, because the awareness is going to shine light on it, and then it's ultimately going to dissolve as a result. Yeah. If everyone has a shadow self, quote unquote, or like a darker, or a part of us that the world doesn't see, right? There's a version of you that no one knows, but Naima. If everyone has that and it's in the shadows and it's there, that means that there's a collective shadow realm. There has to be. If every single person has a shadow, that means there's a collective shadow realm. And the more that we come here and we shed our light and we bring awareness to our depressive states, to our lower vibrational states, to our lower vibrational emotions, anger, sadness, whatever it may be. The more we shine light onto those energies and into that shadow self, we're collectively illuminating the shadow realm, and we're bringing more light, more awareness to this plane that has gone through a lot of density, a lot of spiritual warfare. It's very dense here on planet Earth. So collectively, individually, as we go through this process and we awaken and we're doing the work to alchemize our depression, we're doing a greater service for humanity.
I think for me, what made it more difficult for me, when I was at a point where I was like, okay, I don't like how the world works. I don't know who I am. I'm not living like in my purpose. The more I learned, it just felt like the world we're living in is like not interested in like helping us become our most authentic self. The world we're living in is like in opposition to being in a state where you're like more aware. It feels like you have to fight 100%. Against that. Trying to support yourself, but like do things that you enjoy, like that. It seems like impossible to do that, like in this world.
I won't say
not impossible, but difficult.
Yeah, it feels like a fight. It feels like there's an energy that's kind of going against it. Like you wake up one day and you're like, hey, I want to be a creative for the rest of my life. Like you gotta be prepared to like quote unquote fight the system that says nah. We need you at that grocery store, or we need you to like go to college and be a doctor. Like there's an energy that you have to naturally push against to get to that point of actually being your most authentic self.
Yeah.
It is. And it's all within us, ironically. That's what they call programming and conditioning. It's like, it's the world within us rather than, I mean, it's externally as well, but it's more than anything, it's our own belief systems about ourselves that the world placed on us. And those are it's like an internal battle more than anything, but yeah, it reflects outwardly too.
You think there's not external things that need to change?
They change from the inside. I do believe there's external things that need to change, but they're only going to change from within, from us imagining and creating a different world, because we're the ones who built the world. So it has to start from the internal. What you think? You think differently?
I mean, I think like white men built the world. I don't think.
For sure. But white men they somehow tricked people to help them build the world.
Well, they enslaved us.
This is true.
Yeah.
This is true. Okay, but then that's the whole conversation. It's like, okay, what's the thin line between
what's in your control and what's not?
Right. Us being enslaved and also us carrying slave mentality. Like, there's a thin line because, like, in order to, because that's still a programming. Like, okay, say they physically captured black people, right? And they say, hey, you're going to come to this world and you're going to work for free, or we're going to whip you and kill you or rape you or whatever. Eventually, those belief systems are going to instill in us, you know? And then, okay, now we're free, whatever, civil rights movement, all of that happened. Black people can exist out in the world with white people and whatever. We have our freedom, quote unquote. We're still carrying some of those belief systems that we have to take accountability for, right?
Yeah.
You know, of course, we know where they stem from. We understand the wicked ways of the world. But it's up to us.
A lot of us don't know where they stem from. There's a lot of, black capitalism happening.
Yeah,
like,
hell yeah.
Another source of depression, I think, is disconnection from, like, nature and culture. And I just feel like a disconnection from, like I don't know, like, what is my indigenous culture? Like, I would like to get more connected to that, and I don't really know how to. Our culture was taken away from us, and we created a new culture, but, like, kind of wanting to get back to, like, what did we have originally?
Oh, okay,
like, what was our original relationship with spirituality and, like, nature and, like, all that stuff.
Okay, so a great example is, like...
Honestly, I like soul food.
Oh, damn. Okay, great example.
It's
I feel I get how people feel about soul food. It's like, it's dear to us. We feel a little personal about it. If somebody grandma cooked them yams, she cooked them collard greens. With them collard greens that's like drowned in just pork and grease. It's just like not even nutrients in it at that point. And I'm like, hey, that's nasty for you. Of course somebody they gonna get defensive. They gonna want to fight. You talking about my grandma's food? Grandma gonna want to fight too. But obviously, we know that stemmed from slavery. Why are we eating chitlins? Why we eating chitlins, bro? Like, it's not.
I mean, we like adapted to like horrible situations.
Yes, this is what I will say. We can't go back in time. So when you ask, like, I want to know what it was before, you can find out what it was before. But I won't eradicate and invalidate the culture that we do have right now. At least the parts that I resonate with, because I'm my own sovereign being. I'm going to choose to resonate with what I resonate with. Some of what they promote in hip hop, gun violence, all of that, like, if I'm not resonating with it, I'm not resonating with it. But anything that does work for me now, that is considered black culture, and I resonate with it, and I don't know what an example of it I can give, like, certain parts of hip-hop that I'm like, okay, certain music that I do like, if it resonates with me, it resonates with me. I understand that some of the system behind it, white men controlling the labels, controlling the artists, whatever, but how much am I going to do that? I got to use my discernment, you know what I mean? I can't try to fight everything. If something feels good to me and I know I'm thinking for myself, that's my discernment. As long as I know I really like this because I like it and I thought about it myself and it resonates with me, I'm going to listen to it. For me, it's going to work for me, or I'm going or I'm going to eat it because, some vegan food, like, for example, isn't great for you. Some people can get on how, like, not all vegan food is good for you. It's processed. If I feel like fucking eating it and it's good to me and it works for me and it's healthy for me and I don't feel terrible when I eat it, I'm going to eat it. So that goes to the same for Black culture as well.
So you seem to be, like, very grounded in your spirituality. You never had an interest in, like, African spirituality or I don't know if you are interested in that. Or...
That's a good question. That's a great question. Honestly, I might just have to be honest. Like, I'm disconnected from it. I'm even disconnected to even some of my indigenous ancestry. At least I feel like I am, But who's to say that me honoring myself 100% where I am right now is not a way of also being connected to it, without even like being aware of it. You know what I mean? Just it's an evolved version. It's an evolved form of it. It could be. I'm not saying that it is, but it very much could be. My ancestors could very much just be proud of me appreciating and honoring who I am right now based on the resources I've been dealt with, based on the environment I grew up in, just appreciating me, knowing the circumstances that we're all in as human beings on this planet at this time, especially melanated people, just knowing what we've gone through and just cheering us on based on that. If we have the desire to do our research and dive into our African roots and just the culture that's expressed, it'll come out of us. The more you dive into it, the more it's going to naturally come out of you. So that's a great question. That's a great question. There's definitely more I could be in tune with, but I think it'll come on its own, and I do have to just naturally accept what's been done to our people as a result in the cultures that we've created out of it as a response, literally as a coping mechanism to trauma. You gotta accept that. I wouldn't fight that.
I think that I do feel like a whole little bit, like where like my religion and culture would be. Okay. I just don't resonate with like some aspects of Black culture, so I'm still trying to like find what works for me.
I feel you. Yeah. I feel you. And see, when you feel called to do that, that means it's in your calling to figure it out and to remember, something's calling you to have that awareness, and there's a purpose in you finding that within yourself and finding it within your ancestry and your lineage. I'm glad you feel that hole within yourself because you're gonna feel that. The English language, wow. I'm glad you feel that hole within yourself because you're gonna refill that hole within yourself. Because I love that you asked me that question because it's true. Like, obviously, if you don't know the name of your great great grandmother or even your great 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 grandmother, if you can't even go back 7-8 generations and know who that person was in your family and what they look like, of course you're going to feel that hole. Of course you're going to feel that disconnection from your true culture. And even going back way back then. So I feel that. I feel that. I understand why you feel that way. It's valid. But yeah, one of the biggest solutions I will always offer people to help, something very practical that can help them dissolve their depression or eradicate their depression or step out of their depression, is nature. Which is why obviously seasonal depression exists, because people can't be outside as much. Obviously, and there's less sunlight. Like, it makes sense. Get in nature. Get outside in nature and ask Mother Earth for help. Ask Mother Earth to support you in this state, in this time that you're in. Ask for support. Ask for help. Ask the sunlight to just literally welcome itself into your presence, into your energetic field. You can literally do it. Just call it forth, because with you doing that, you are literally giving permission to the universe and literally to these tools that we have, which is Earth and Sun. These are tools and resources we can literally use. I mean, they're our greatest resources, obviously.
It's light, shining everywhere, bro.
What will we do without them? You can ask them to integrate into your being. You can welcome them into your presence. You can invite them and you'll feel that. You'll feel them start to do the work within you and help you. So that's my last practical solution that can help.
Yeah. Even still that you had like the community and everything, like it was still difficult for you, like going through your awakening. Like, do you think that it's just going to be difficult, like, or do you think there's ways to like make it
have an easy transition?
Yeah.
Dude, that's a great question. Because I wonder that very often. I'm like, why does life on earth have to be hard? Like, what is this? Like, why is this set up like this? Like, why do we gotta go through some traumatic shit to go through it and then grow through it? It's just like there's no easy route. There's no like, hey, this has just been smooth, and then you awaken and it's still smooth and it's all beautiful and it's all just love and peace and joy and bliss and beauty and magic. And then you die, and then you go into the next realm, and it continues on. Unfortunately, you got to go through some shit.
Yeah. That's
a whole different conversation as to why we have to go through some shit. Like, I'm not even talking about like the surface level. Like, oh yeah, if no pain, no gain. Not. I'm talking like there's a real esoteric reason behind why life is set up this way on Earth for humans to go through things traumatic in order to triumph. There's a reason behind it. That's a whole different conversation. But just on the most basic level, obviously, if you go to the gym, you work out, right? Does it feel good to work out? I mean, some of it does, but does it, like, when you're like, you're running, like, is that like a good, no, you're kind of like going through it, but ultimately it helps you, and it's beneficial. So the same thing for just the things we go through in life, the experiences we have, the emotional distortions, the turbulence that takes place. It's a part of the process, and I do believe that you don't have to go through a deep depressive state in order to grow and evolve as a human being. But I will say 100%, if you are going through it, you are for sure, if you stick it through and you keep going, you keep waking up every day and you don't give up, which is, committing suicide pretty much, you will have a breakthrough. That breakdown will 100% lead you to a breakthrough, because there's no other way to go. When you're down bad, like, there's no other place to go but up. Like, you have to. That's what you're here to do, to grow into the awareness of who you are, and go through the darkness to shine light upon the darkness. I really believe that.
Thank y'all for watching. Thank you, Sunset Trei, for being here and for everything you shared. Yeah, hope y'all have a good day.
Thank you, guys.